Okay, everyone, I just sold everything that I owned within my Roth IRA. That entire account, about $70,000 in that account, has been cleared out. I sold things like the Nasdaq 100, Apple, Amazon, Tesla. I just got rid of everything. And if you follow this channel at all, I typically talk about buying and holding index funds, long-term investing, all these mantras that you hear from the finance YouTubers. So why am I not taking that advice? Why am I selling everything that I have? In this video, I'm going to try to explain my reasoning. So a while back, I did this video about the upcoming recession. And while there's been lots of controversy if we're in a recession or not, did we meet this technical definition or not? I think what's very obvious is that how many tech companies got crushed. Their stocks dropped in half. Big companies, things like Meta and Amazon, these companies were getting hit like we haven't seen in years. And I work in this sector, right? So I build software for a living, and I was watching some of these different companies lay off tens of thousands of people. And that, to me, at least in my world, was a very recessionary downturn type environment that impacted a lot of people. Now, at that same time, people on television, CNBC, they were saying, the technology trade, the era of FANG companies rising through the roof was over. And so I was trying to hold both of these ideas in my mind at once. Tech is getting crushed, and they're saying tech is no longer a good investment. And all I could think is that is ridiculous. So what I actually did is I poured a ton of money into things like the Nasdaq 100. This is the Nasdaq 100 ETF QQQ from Invesco, and it has a lot of the big tech names like Apple and Amazon and Tesla within it. It's really concentrated in that area. And so when things pulled back, that ETF went down pretty significantly. But I knew that, as you should know, betting against technology is just a really bad idea. So I started to buy and buy and buy and load up on the Nasdaq 100 while everyone was selling and saying that rocket ship was over. Okay, so that's what I kind of did from the beginning of the year on through about now. And what has happened that time, the QQQ has went up about 45%. So I saw all of this investment, all the things I kind of allocated there, go through a 45% upswing, which I enjoyed. That is one reason. So as the share price went up and up, I thought this is fantastic. However, if I've learned anything over my kind of investing career, which is fairly short, is really paying attention to the cycles. Stocks and things like ETFs, things that you own, they'll go up and they'll come back down. This reversion to the mean idea that we talk about a lot on this channel. And long-term investors typically will say, there are going to be these swings over the decades, and I'm fine with that. I pay no attention to it, and give me 30 years and I'll be a millionaire. And sure, that may indeed be the case. But for me, after seeing what happened in 2020 with the big COVID pullback and then crazy rally, and then as I think around January 2021, when everything just really started to sell off, many of these tech names, it made me think a little bit about not timing the market, but just realizing when you're overbought or oversold. And there's a lot of different technical indicators people look at, and I'm not an expert on these things, but there's certain things you can focus on to say, hey, wait, are we way above something like a 200-day moving average? How long has this stock been going up and up and up? Is it due for some kind of correction? Is this out of range, out of balance for what would be normal? And that can go in both directions. It can go the oversold side, which is what happened with technology. Does it make a lot of sense for Meta to lose 50%? And in those moments, in either direction, when stocks are ripping through the ceiling or collapsing, a lot of people in the finance world will speak as if it's so obvious. Oh, of course, Meta is selling off. They were overvalued. That they're losing users on Facebook, etc. Like almost as if they predicted it or knew it was coming. And in this case, I just felt that no, that can't be the case. It's this idea of getting out of balance in either direction. And so when I saw technology getting so far up above the average, I said, hey, this feels like a really great recovery. let me go ahead and lock in some of my gains. So just being completely transparent with you, in 2021, my portfolio was rocking and rolling, as yours might have been too. And everything's through the roof. People are buying NFTs for millions of dollars. Nothing makes sense. And I just had this feeling, I said, this has to come to an end. And I probably should take some money off the table. But I was so focused on this long-term investing, hold through whatever, that I didn't do that. And I watched my portfolio drop about 30 to 40%. Which was super frustrating because, yes, you can't time the market, but when things are way out of whack in either direction. And so I said, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more focused on seeing those imbalances and then managing my risk, taking a little bit of profits or selling if I needed to do that as well. Okay, so when tech was oversold, I bought a bunch of QQQ. And then we went rip-roaring 45% up. And I sold it all. Now, that's about 6 months it took to do that. So where am I going to actually put my money now? Well, I've taken that $70K and I'm slowly allocating it into another index fund, which is ticker symbol VB. This is the Vanguard Small Cap Index. And this is basically a bunch of smaller cap companies. If you think about technology leading equities up, there's a lot of smaller companies that just haven't seen that tremendous growth as the economy will recover. And so you can look at this on the chart. If you just look at the year to date between something like QQQ and VB, there's a pretty big gap there. And I think that those smaller cap equities have room to grow back into higher valuations as the economy opens back up and recovers. So that's one area where I'm not selling QQQ and then just dumping it into GameStop or something. I am selling one index to another. I'm just trying to move into the market into places I think aren't wildly out of balance, if that makes sense. And the second place I'm putting my money, I'm going to buy a little bit of ticker symbol GLD, which is basically a gold ETF. And what this will allow me to do is have a little bit of exposure to gold. I don't know if this is a good investment or not, frankly. I know in the long term it should be. As you can see, a chart of gold is up and to the right. And then you see news of things like BRICS, all these other nations coming together as an alternative to the US dollar world currency status and backing it with things like gold and other commodities, precious metals. So gold to me seems like it could be another place to put some money. And I've actually never owned gold in my portfolio prior to this. So I've started those two positions, VB and gold, just a little bit. I'm going to slowly start to build in, and we'll see what else I buy over the next 6 months. Okay, that's my quick update. That's where things have been. I'm trying to get back into making videos consistently like this for you. If there's a topic you want me to touch on related to personal finance or investing, let me know in the comments. We'll be back soon for another video. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you then.